Industry Engagement Unit gathers knowledge from industry, community, government and training providers to inform the Victorian Skills Plan and support the VSA's quality and innovation functions. Kate's role includes the development and implementation of actions that arise from the regional skills demand for the Goulburn region. She has an extensive background in vocational education and training and economic development with local government. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you, Lisa. Now I'm going to have a tickle in my throat. Good morning and thank you for having me along to speak with you about the industries in Shepparton and the greater region. I'd also like to thank my team leader from the VSA, Jodie Price, for joining me here this morning, because if there are any curly questions following my presentation, I'd like to be deferring to Jodie. I'm going to take you through the skills in demand and what we might need to do to supercharge planning to meet the needs of what we foresee happening in the region over the next few years. We'll be looking at most of the information from the viewpoint of the Goulburn region. Just to clarify, the Goulburn region is made up of the Mitchell and Murrindindi LGAs from the outskirts of Melbourne through the Shire of Strathbogie, Greater Shepparton and into Moira. The VSA look not only at the skills for the jobs of today, but into the future. Greater Shepparton is the region's largest centre and accounts for approximately 48% of the region's total GVA. The Goulburn region's skills demand profile was released in July this year, and on the table I've got some snapshots there for you. Also know that these are collector's items because they mention the Commonwealth Games. They went to print before that situation occurred. This was completed through consultation with industry, government, education providers and community stakeholders across the region last year. The data the VSA gathers shows one part of the story, but on the ground, the roundtables and the task force told us the story of what's really happening here. From the profile, it emerged that there are essentially 7 priority industries: the visitor economy, healthcare and community services, education and training, construction and housing, manufacturing, agriculture and clean energy. Feedback from those industries direct to the VSA in the skills demand profile consultations for some of the priority industries is that there is an immediate need in agriculture, such as entry-level farmhands and management in dairy, the need for climate change aligned workers, and people with technical and digital skills, including data management and biosecurity management software and drone operators. The emerging needs into the future of agriculture include an awareness of climate and sustainability practices, carbon neutral processes, and the ability to develop, use and maintain new processes and technologies involved in new farming systems. Agriculture is one of the industries that we will see a change in the occupations as it evolves and the need to reskill some of its workers. In clean energy and the circular economy industry, the task force members raised the need for adaptability, transferability and agility in skilling and retaining workers, given the emerging and rapidly evolving nature of the sector. The evolving nature of occupations, skills and workers required across the industry is likely to shift the top growth occupations in the next 3 to 5 years. Some of the roles include change managers, carbon accountants, workers who can translate and maintain bespoke equipment for a local context, building design specialists and big picture thinkers. They might be employed as database and systems administrators, management, organisation analysts and other specialist managers. The manufacturing industry was responsible for generating 1/3 of the gross value add across the region in 2021 and employs 11% of the region's workforce, largely driven by food product manufacturing, meat-relating processes and metal fabrication. The healthcare and community services industry is the second largest employer in the region at 14%. In the region, across a network of public and private services. This comprises hospitals, medical and other allied and diagnostic healthcare services, community services such as childcare, aged care assistance services, welfare and counselling and residential care services. Employment in this industry is expected to grow at the fastest rate in the Goulburn region, outpacing the visitor economy, education and training, and clean energy industries. The region is in immediate crisis for early childhood staff, and anyone using childcare services would be well aware of how difficult it is to obtain a place. Staff across all major healthcare roles and allied health are in demand, along with administrative and support staff. Along with existing roles, there are emerging needs into the future: community support and disability support workers, family violence practitioners, and early intervention workers. This slide shows that Victoria will require 352,000 new workers across the state. 75,000 of these workers will be required in regional Victoria. This is by 2026. The Goulburn region, at 7,600, or an additional 10.2%, is at about fourth greatest need for workers across the state. If you look at Goulburn and Ovens-Murray combined in its form of the Hume region that some people often are aware of, the two regions being combined for a lot of service sharing and other working purposes, the North East or Hume region will require 19.4% of the state's new workers by 2026. That's 14,600 new workers in just over 2 years. You will get a copy of this, so you'll be able to study those figures. So please note that these figures are across the Goulburn region and not just in Shepparton. Considering the forecast for the Goulburn region, it should come as no surprise that our healthcare industry is the most in demand now and looking toward 2026. Of the 7,600 new workers expected to 2026, 4,800 of those positions will be to replace retiring workers. Looking at the number forecast to retire over the next 3 years, that should be of some concern in terms of skills planning and how businesses are preparing. We need to consider the knowledge and skills, the history of your industry that leaves when people retire. Now is the time to ensure you are succession planning, not just to replace them like for like, but to be knowledge sharing with your staff. If you have important intel in your business and skills that need to be handed down, now is the time to start working on that. Our forecast data in the region tells us that the jobs that need to be filled require at least 40% of people to have university qualifications and 50% will require a vet qualification. There will be very few unskilled entry-level positions making up this 7,600 jobs. Completing the qualifications takes lead time, so people need to start now. How can industry help? What should everybody here be doing? Well, you need to understand the figures. The demand in Shepparton and surrounding areas is real. Lifting participation in education and training and skilling our people is the way to grow the workforce. Workforce diversification. Keep working with schools, keep working on improving work experience offerings and school-based apprenticeship models. If you're always and only looking to schools for the solution and not finding it, you need to make these changes. Maybe you need to start to seek out people who are changing careers, looking for part-time work, living with a disability, cultural and linguistically diverse, or those returning to work. Consider providing support and reasonable adjustment in your workplace for a more diverse workforce. This may mean that you need to amend some of your work practices too, such as rethinking recruitment, the way you advertise and wear, the skills you look for, the hours you offer, and being more flexible. Where there is funding support offered, take advantage of it. Employ apprentices, trainees, and school-based apprentices. If a workforce culture is wonderful and the training, mentoring, and support is offered, then an extra $1 offered next door or down the road is less likely to be attractive. There is a lot that's unique about Shepparton. People are prepared to work together. The culture, the desire to adopt innovation is strong. People are problem solvers, clean economy adopters, and are independent and get on with the job. Here I've got a selection of the Victorian Skills Authority data products that are for you to use for planning and for analysis and setting up some of the things that I've talked to you about this morning. And I'm very happy to come and meet with you to assist you to utilise them. If there's any support I can offer you with your skills needs and your industry, please catch up with me this morning or following the meeting. Thank you very much to Lisa and Lindy for having me come and speak, and thank you to everybody for listening.
We do have time for a couple of questions. We've only got one microphone, so you're going to have to use a really, really big voice.
Kate, we've had a big change from full-time to part-time workers over the last 4 years. In your projections, have you got any thoughts on where you think that's going to go?
I think we're very aware that people will continue to work part-time, but what we're looking at, some of the models, is that people might pick up and fill to a full-time load with perhaps 2 employers. So that's one of the models we are looking at, is that perhaps people who are underemployed will pick up a full-time load, hopefully with 2 employers. So if they want variety, they'll pick that up with 2 employers.
You touched on some of this, but do we have enough people in the region, or are we recruiting from outside the region? And you also touched on having to upskill and think about your recruitment, but what's that data?
The region is on a trajectory for growth, and so there are more people coming to the region. We will definitely need more people, but I think in terms of growing, the diversity, I think, is a big part of attracting new people, and that, we were talking to another team yesterday who can assist with, looking at getting more diverse people. I think we just need to start to look elsewhere in the pool of people we've got, because there are people here. So to get that 7,600, there are people here who aren't currently employed, for example, in aged care and in, services in other industries that could be if the support in the workplace was there.